We are live here. Hold on a second. Turn this light on. The light's not working, so we just go with that. All right. So welcome to another midday inspiration with Mr. Tony Fleming. And I'm glad to be here today. Hope you all are having a fantastic Tuesday. Just going to have a little conversation today. And just want to talk about self-esteem. I think a lot of people, well, the society, America's society is full of people with low self-esteem. We were born to win and programmed to lose. Born to win, but programmed to lose. Great afternoon, Ms. Coleman. Born to win, but programmed to lose. And if you look up, esteem pretty much means value. It means value. So if you put self-esteem together, we're talking about self-value. We're talking about whether you believe in yourself and what do you really truly believe about yourself when you when you go home in quiet time or when you're looking in the mirror. What are you really thinking? What are you really saying about yourself? Because most people have this image of not successful or not being successful, or this image of and so that real thought process hits you when you're by yourself or you're looking in the mirror at home, not when you're out in the streets or at work. You talk as if everything is everything. But if you understand that most addictions come from low self-esteem, because you think nothing's going to work for me today. The world is against me. I'm really not, just don't feel good about myself. Especially black men growing up in America and the things and so you turn to something that's going to make you feel good. Could be the bottle, could be the pipe, could be marijuana. It could be a number of things that we turn to because of that low self-esteem and that feeling we have. And a lot of times I don't like saying that word and saying it to people because there's a reaction, or there's a reaction of people saying, no, that's not me. I don't have low self-esteem. Well, that, people go into denial. I've been saying for years that books are the only way, and they can be audios. If you're not going to read, if you're not going to read, listen to the audio, but get new information. That's how you change that self-esteem, because now you're reading about things, you're reading about other people, and you realizing that some of the things you got at a certain age, or some of the things they got, you didn't get. some of the training, some of the belief systems, some of the things that were instilled in us, is different from. And so if we don't work on that, that's what I try to do every single day, from reading a chapter in a book, or reading one page in a book, or listening to 2 or 3 audios or something, because self-esteem, it will hold you back, or if you have higher self-esteem, it will advance you. It will advance you. But if we are constant denial and don't want to admit that when you lock that door at home and you look and you think about in your mind the whole time, I can't do this. This ain't gonna happen. Blah 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 blah. There's no way we can win in life unless we address that. Is no way. And the world just keeps on moving, and people are so locked into all other stuff, from the all the TV shows, all the news, all the other stuff that they're locked in from, and they're working, and don't realize, or don't realize that their issue is self-esteem, low self-esteem. Don't realize it because they never picked up something and read it that talked about that. They never even Googled it to see what comes up for that. They never even researched to say, and think, say, well, why would I have that? Okay. If you grew up in a poor or middle class neighborhood, and see, here's the thing. The world doesn't talk about this. And so when somebody like myself and other people talk about it, or somebody reading the book, it's a small percentage. So it's easily to, I mean, not easily, it's easy to ignore the information. It's easy to ignore it because, remember, I always say, what we remember or what we get or what we receive is based on what we keep doing. So if we keep watching the news, the movies, the TV, they're going to give you the total opposite of what a person would need to change their self-esteem. They're going to give you that. And you're going to sit. I just saw a guy post something similar to that on Instagram. And he was talking about that topic. And man, in the comment section, they were killing him. Because what he was talking about was that you don't realize that all the stuff that we watch, from the crime show, from the murders, all this stuff that we look at on a daily basis is programming us. He talked about that. He was this young guy. And boy, in the comment section, they're killing. I can watch what I watch and it ain't going to program me. It's not going to. Because see, what he realizes is that the subconscious mind doesn't realize what's real or fake. So if you sitting there every night watching people getting their heads blown off, the subconscious mind thinking it's real. That's why, we say create that vision board and look at it every day, because the subconscious thinks that part is real. What you put on that vision board is what you want to have in your life. What you want to have in your life is on there. So if you view that vision board like you viewing a movie, that's what's programming the mind for us to have. Just like when you watch all those movies that blowing heads off and killing and all that, that's programming us to have that thought, to have that, it's you know, it's hard. I don't see why people don't get it. Now I take that back. I do see why people don't get it because we don't hear this enough. We don't hear it enough. Great afternoon, King. But we don't hear this enough. We don't see it enough. If you grew up in a poor neighborhood or middle class, what do you think you grew up hearing all day long? Did you grow up hearing that, man, the world is great and you're going to be successful and you can go out here and rock the world? And then you go outside and you hear that from your friends. And then you go other places in the neighborhood and you hear, man, everything is great. Boy, you doing this, you got it going on. You know that's not what you heard. You know that's not what you heard in your household. You know that. You heard totally opposite of that. White man got his foot on our neck. Rich people are evil. You know, they doing this to us, and we just, don't try too hard, don't do too much, just go get your job down at the plant. And that's what you heard. And that was doubled down for years. So that programs us. And then we turn on the television and we watch all that program, and then we watch the news. Man, if you watch the news, you think that all black folks just be out here killing, shooting, and selling dope. My neighbors think I'm selling dope. If you watch, you think that. And that's 10% of our community, maybe 5%. The other 90 or 95% is not even participating in that, what you see in the news. But you see that all the time, and you think that's what it is. That's the programming. That's what builds that low self-esteem to a point where you think that's what I'm supposed to do. If you have a kid in front of that television at 6 years old, 5 years old, and they watching all the news and they watching everything else being babysitted by the movies, a black kid would think that's what he's supposed to do because that's what he's seeing all the time. And people say that has nothing to do with it. I can think. They don't understand the subconscious mind. They don't understand how it works. They haven't read a book on it. They don't even. I remember talking about this subject 15 years ago in the barbershop. And boy, them guys in there was like, nah, man, I can do all this. I watch. And like, they don't even have the knowledge to understand that you need to work on yourself, that you need to work on the inner person, that you need to develop yourself and to change those thoughts. But they don't have the knowledge because they don't hear that on the news. They don't hear that in their movies. They don't hear that from their parents. They don't hear that from a TV show. And what you keep watching and keep listening to and keep hearing, come on. Low self-esteem is the number one reason for addictions. I don't care what kind of addiction it is. Because what it does is it makes you feel good about yourself for that period of time. And then you got to do it again and do it again. But and I'm not, the answer to that is to become developed on the inside. So then that feeling that you get, you won't get. That feeling that you get that makes you feel less than, you won't have. You won't have it. But a person has to. I remember when I was I turned 28 and I started reading more. And it just blew me away on the information And as I was reading the information, which is a different perspective on how I grew up, I would line up the information with the thoughts that I had. It's like, the old Ben Franklin, draw a line down the middle and put things on two sides, one on the left and one on the right. So I would put the stuff that the people in the books were saying and then I would take my thoughts that I grew up with and put it over here. And then I would say, okay, if I want to do this and I want to advance at this level, which thought process do I need to use? Even though I grew up with this, even though this was mom and daddy said, because grandmama and granddaddy said it, because great grandmama and great granddaddy said it, and people in the neighborhood said it because they grandmama said it. And so everybody in that community, that's why I said, they can actually gauge pretty much where a person's going to be from the zip code that they grew up in. And then you have people in that zip code that will blast me and say, no, because I'm from that zip code and I'm a PhD because I'm from that zip code. And well, it's never 100%. You do have people come up out of those areas and do well. But across the board, it's still 90% of people in those zip codes that are middle class and poor have a challenge that they don't succeed because it's that self-esteem and the world is not going to break that down. I always say in capitalism doesn't care if you figure it out. So you figure out capitalism, you figure out how it works, you figure out how they throwing curveballs, and you come into the circle and you make it. They cool with that. But here's the thing with capitalism, they're not going to tell you the rules. You have to learn those rules as you go. And as you learn them, then you figure out the game. But the game starts with self-esteem. That's where it starts. And that's not being addressed. I mean, think about it. Just say you grew up, you wake up every day, you're a brother in the hood, you feel like ain't nothing good happening here. I'm a bro and they coming after me all the time. Let me take something that's gonna make that feeling go away. Or let me go do something that's gonna make that feeling go away. And the best way to make that feeling go away, that you won't have to continue doing things, is to work on the inner person so you feel like you are worth. That's the thing that, you go through the hood, everybody just shooting and killing each other because none of us in that area think that we're worth anything. Oh, we'll take you out. You ain't worth nothing. You ain't worth nothing. But we won't go cross town to another neighborhood because you or we think those people are worth something. We ain't touching them. We just get these right here. Or I got myself. Self-esteem, man. That's it. And if you got any other answers on how to work on that self-esteem and build up it, other than books, change your environment, or audio books, listening to those, because that's where you're going to get different perspectives. That's the only place. You're not going to get different perspectives talking to the same people who hadn't changed their mindset. I mean, you can actually, because the guy in Instagram, he was talking about how he respect Tyler Perry, he respect 50 Cent, But he's like, man, they part of the program now. They on the team with the other folks because they're putting out stuff that's feeding our mind some BS. He said they have partnered with the other side, with the ops, and don't even know it. Maybe they know it. Maybe they do. But you see 50 down in where? In Louisiana building studios and stuff to create. I said this, I said, why are all his shows mainly the same? Why are all those shows like that? I'm gonna tell you who's really killing the self-esteem is Tubi. One night, I had never been to Tubi, but I knew the app was on my screen. So I said, let me click on it. I was just clicking on different shows. You know how it shows you, it kind of runs a little trail on each one. Man, I had to go down at least 15 in a row. Was all dudes selling crack in the hood. Every movie, every show was dudes selling crack in the hood. That's what it was about. Don't you know how damaging that is to the psyche? And people say, well, I just watched that. I'm not, doesn't do anything to me. Yes, it does. And y'all do know who owned Tubi, right? Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch is the same guy who owns Fox News. He's taken that, using Tubi to make money from us to fund his Fox News where they hate on us. I mean, to think about it. Rupert Murdoch owns Tubi. Yep. And man, we sit there and do it to ourselves. And the main reason is that we don't know. And when you don't know, and it's hard to get people, you have to get in there. It has to be more people talking to them about this kind of stuff. It really does. But because after you get to a certain age, you grown, you figure like, if you research childhood programming, research from age 0 to 7, what happens to us. Research that. We're a clean slate. We're like getting a new laptop and hadn't put anything on it. But then every morning, every day, things start being put on our minds as a child, as a 1-year-old, as a 6-month-old, watching everything. That's how you learn how to walk, because you watching your parents. They walk in, somebody figure what else you learn from them, whatever else you hear from them. You hear it, you copy it. They say it. You sitting there just grinning and smiling, and little bitty baby 1-year-old kicking his feet and all that, and you thinking they don't understand. They hear it. They hear it. Good afternoon, Miss Desiree. They hear it. It's programmed in us. That's why we act like, you as you get older, somebody says, "Oh, you acting just like your dad," and you thinking, "No, I'm not." But somebody from the outside looking in see your mannerism, see what's going on. That you got that at that doing that window. It was programmed in you doing that window. Now you might not want it. You might not want to say that. I was doing something the other night, and I said to myself, "Dang, this is exactly what my mother used to do," and I'm sitting there doing it. How? Yep. Learned behaviors destroy the community. That's true. Over and over and it's repetition. Just keep it cranking. That's why they said they can tell by the zip code you're in. You go to another zip code that's a wealthy zip code, you hearing and seeing other things. They talking about other things. I mean, again, it can, things could change, you can change yourself. You can develop, you got to work on yourself though. But if you're stubborn or you feel like you know everything and that's not gonna, that's just how it is. That's how it compounds. All right, folks, that's it for today. Self-esteem. Check out some of the stuff I talked about. Go Google it if you don't believe it and see what comes up and why we think the way we do, why we're the person that we are. All right, you see at the bottom of the screen, mywealthlounge.com. You can go there and check that out. We got a lot of things to offer in the mywealthlounge.com. See something that might help you over there. All right. So, as all she wrote, the pen and the pencil broke. All she wrote, pen and the pencil broke. All right. If you're with us, we'll be on in the morning in the Wealth Lounge at 8 o'clock. And then we'll be back here on Thursday at same time, same bat station. All right. So my time is up. Mr. Wells, thank you. Time is up, and I thank you for yours.